Hello and welcome to David Harrington of the Kronos Quartet and Aleksandra Vrebalov at home in San Francisco and Novi Sad. Greetings from Cleveland. It's nice to see you both and to share this time with you both.
It's great to be here.
Nice to see you.
We're together in a way today under unusual circumstances, and this remarkable thing has happened since the outbreak of the coronavirus, where Aleksandra, you had come to the Cleveland Museum of Art at our invitation to create a new piece. We'd commissioned you to create a large work which was well on its way and then had to be canceled and postponed because of the coronavirus COVID-19 epidemic. Can you tell us a little bit about, or share with me, your thoughts about the original intended version of your commissioned piece?
Well, the originally commissioned piece was a really beautiful way to do the work, because I have never given the opportunity to turn a building into a music box, basically, and also to work with so many people who would be dispersed through the whole space and have the material that's open enough so that they can give themselves and invest who they are, rather than just learning the material and going with that. So I think the circumstance and the people were the basis of that new circumstance that we were just about to have happen, and then it didn't happen.
It hasn't happened yet. It will happen, I'm sure, hopefully in the next season. And the impulse originally came from a specific object in the museum's collection. Is that right?
Yes, I was inspired by the icon from the 15th century that's in the early Christian Byzantine gallery. It's the Virgin of Tenderness by a Greek artist at the very end of the Byzantine era. And I realized that since I have access to the original Byzantine chant as it's been chanted today, and it hasn't changed since when it originated, I thought it would be wonderful to bring the people who live that tradition still, and I'm talking about the monks from Kovilj Monastery from northern Serbia, to bring them to the room where the icon is, and to put together what we consider today an object of art with the living chant, which is considered in the monastery not art. It's considered to be the portal into another realm, and also the icon is considered to be that too when it's not in the museum. So the beautiful thing about the monks from the Kovilj Monastery is that they had also performed with Kronos Quartet 5 years ago. So in a strange way, by a very strange set of circumstances, that somehow all plays together, even in what happened to the piece right like now a week ago.
When we were forced to cancel and postpone your world premiere, which had been scheduled for March, the next time we had a conversation after things began to settle down in some ways, you said, I have a new idea and I'm in touch with David and the Kronos Quartet. What happened? What conversation emerged?
I feel all of us found ourselves in a place where a lot of things, just the entire reality was under the question, how do we move forward? What does this mean? How do we respond? And I think in my case, at least, what happened is that where you have strong relationships, because it's so uncertain, so you turn to people who you can feel comfortable with exploring things that are very, very vulnerable and very uncertain and also risky.
Well, it didn't start, from my perspective, it didn't start with a specific piece at all. It started with the problem that we have all encountered recently of how do you make music together in an environment when you're where you're not in the same room, you can't rehearse, you can't do the normal things that you've done for all of these years, and yet you still want to prove not only to yourself but to others that music is still alive.
Okay.
Maybe
okay,
just 3, 4. Yeah.
Okay, ready? Here we go. 3, 4. Okay, it's a problem. We're running into the problems of remote rehearsing right now.
Actually, Aleksandra and I have been to the monastery together, and one of the most amazing experiences that I can recall is hearing the chants by candlelight live. It was truly amazing, and as she said, the monks have appeared with us in concert in the United States and also in Serbia. And so it was Aleksandra's idea to bring this piece into the realm of actuality. I don't understand how to do any of this stuff, even now that I've already done it. To record myself in my music room and film it at the same time, and all this stuff, for me it was totally new. So very suddenly there was I was starting at zero and trying to make something that would be usable and useful and hopefully beautiful. It was, I can feel the sweat on my palms as I'm trying to describe this, because it was terrifying, absolutely terrifying. We've never made a recording before where we couldn't hear each other.
Right.
And one of the things you do in a string quartet is you listen to each other, you try to tune to each other, and you try to play together. So those elements were not possible.
From your point of view,
Aleksandra, tell me your experience.
I just want to stress one thing, which from the point of composer and the quartet is also crucial in this situation, and this is that nobody ever heard a piece. So all of them played their parts not knowing the context, which I think also is even more terrifying, because you don't know what you're relating to. It's just a solo line, and this is probably the aspect of this event with recording the Antennae now that's the most significant to me personally. The fact that we made something just relying on ourselves and hoping for the best. But this was really like walking in the dark and just trying to sense what a thing might be.
Yeah. I mean, what Kronos wanted to do was prove to ourselves that we could still be a group in spite of the circumstances. And there's all kinds of vulnerabilities there and dangers. And also, I think there's the possibility for something totally wonderful and unexpected.
Yes, well, I think that what we got in this very first recording is the rawness and vulnerability, as David mentioned, which is so unique to this moment. And it's not only the quartet and the monk and me doing something for the very first time this way. It's everybody. It's really the common experience globally. Now, some kind of uncertainty, putting yourself in a position that's completely new, the isolation, lack of communication, and I think the most beautiful thing that came out of it is that the trueness of that moment.
What did you learn about yourselves as artists or your working relationship in this entirely new what emerged? What do we discover about this process?
What I've learned is at this moment, I've wanted to reveal as Aleksandra said, the rawness and even the angst of making work at this point. We have some rehearsal footage and some conversations on Zoom that really explore the true dynamic of how this got made. And I personally want to have that revealed, because to me, that speaks to the strength of the relationship we have with Aleksandra and her music. And it also speaks to the intense feelings, really intense feelings.
Because we were not in the same space making music, which just never happened before. So that's the thing for me, the trust that if everybody is in it with their true selves, and in this case it was also a little, as David said, it was edgy, it was the dynamic, everybody was very invested emotionally, because it wasn't only about the piece, it was really about what this moment means for everybody.
Can I ask you, David, following up on one of your thoughts, that the things you do as artists and performing artists is travel the world and gather together in rooms for the shared experience. Neither of those two things is possible at the moment. How are you spending your time and creative energy now?
You know, I'm doing a lot of exploring and thinking and taking some walks with my mask that my granddaughter made for me, and trying to find notes, musical notes that resonate in a way that feels right at the present moment. And I'm finding that I'm returning to certain notes that I've found useful in the past, and I'm wildly searching for new ones.